So I turn to you, college football fan, and I say, do you like the game more or do you like the game less? Because I don't know that we've seen a sport transform quite as rapidly as college football has over the last 5 years. You can play at 4 schools in 4 years. You can get paid. Oregon at Rutgers is a conference game. There's a 12-team playoff. Recruiting, I don't even know what it is anymore. It's if somebody commits anymore to whatever school you're a fan of, it's like, okay, that's cool for the next 5 minutes, but the portal recruiting has become probably more important than high school recruiting.
And even that's only 1 year.
And even everything is year to year. And while this next story feels like one that it's, the sign the apocalypse is on us, I actually think it's the first sign of this getting reined in. There was a player named Jaden Rashada who committed to Florida and was promised a $13.85 million NIL deal. Now, I talked to coaches at more than one school, believe it or not, that talk about the portal and NIL, and it's not so much what the players are hearing. A big part of this is what their parents are hearing from representatives from schools. And there's a lot of promises that are being made that can't be kept. But apparently now we're going to court. Jaden Rashada is suing Florida coach Billy Napier, former Florida recruit Jaden Rashada, is suing coach Billy Napier along with big-time Gator boosters and others, claiming they defrauded him out of millions of dollars by backing out of a promised $13.85 million agreement after the quarterback had turned down offers tied to other programs. Now, at this point, from a reasonable standpoint, like we can sit here and say, I hate the new world order of college football. But a story like this, that you can't go running around promising things to kids, I think is one of the ways that it starts to rein in what feels like a bit of a wild, wild west nature of this, in which there really is no structure. There really are no rules. There really is no monitoring system. But if you promise a player, if you come into some agreement, I don't know if it's verbal or if it was a signed deal. The lawsuit, I'm going to read because this just broke. The lawsuit filed Tuesday includes an allegation that Rashada signed a national letter of intent to Florida less than an hour after Napier promised the player's father a $1 million partial payment that day upon signing. Rashada never received the $1 million and the boosters never fulfilled the deal. Okay, so I mean, look, I don't like much of this. I say that this sport, when Saturdays roll around, I still love it. I still absolutely love it. From sunup to sundown. From the beginning of College Game Day, that theme song, they're coming to our city, to that Hawaii game on WADL, which doesn't exist anymore. But you get the point. I'm kind of hoping we settle into a place that is just fine. But it feels like with the ever-evolving, very quickly, rapidly evolving world of college football, I mean, now we're hearing about schools suing their own conferences to try and get out. The ACC is in trouble. There's the revenues are now, schools want to be promised more. Leagues want to be promised spots in the playoff. It's turned into this free-for-all. What's in it for me? And everybody's looking out for their own best interest. And, when you see that, it starts to look like greed, but I can't blame any individual. I mean, I'm trying to take care of my family, and you're trying to take care of yours, and everybody's trying to take care of themselves. But to what end? I mean, is it at all costs? Because I do worry about losing the fans in all of this. And I think the more that we start to parallel minor league sports, okay, the less likely you are to be able to fill up 80 to 100,000 seat stadiums, especially if they basically just because I've heard some people say, well, why do they even go to school? They shouldn't even go. I think if you start doing that, it really becomes a minor league sport. And
it's 100% a minor league sport.
Then I don't think, and you could say it is already by definition. These are students, and so whatever. We're getting to the deep end of the pool, but I hope. Like I saw this lawsuit, and I thought this is the ugly side of it. And now wait a second. You can't go around promising things to kids to get them to sign at your school, NIL deals that you can't come through with. There is some accountability.
Well, there need to be some guardrails up there, some rules and regulations that there just aren't right now, and it takes lawsuits like this to come through in order to set those guidelines up. And the NCAA to this point is just punted. They're like, we're not dealing with this. They just have this landmark decision. Was it last week that came down about how many millions of dollars they're going to have to pay out to schools?
Yeah, they're getting sued.
Yeah, it's at a point now where they're going to have to do something rather than keep punting. Otherwise, it will become just a professional business, and then you're no longer obligated to actually go to class. I know you don't want it to go there. I don't want it to go there either, because there's something special about college athletics.
Yep.
Or that the student athlete.
Yep.
It's really cool. And if this goes the way it's going, it's just going to be a minor league feeder system to professional football. And it'll still be, it'll still be college football in a way because they're representing a school, but in name only.
And I worry about how the fans will look at that. But hey, whatever. Let's get to your phone calls. Philip in Detroit, you're on 97.1. Hi, Philip.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good,
Philip.
Yeah, you're off a little bit, Doug.
Yeah, I missed it. No, that's a good call. You caught asleep at the wheel.
But no, look, I don't too much, to a degree, I don't care for the portal too much. But the problem, the thing I do like about it, and it started with coaches. You remember how often coaches they're signed to a contract, the coach of the school, and there's another offer comes along, and they all of a sudden they telling everybody on the media in front of the camera, oh no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm committed here. I'm staying here. And then months later, you find out they're leaving, and then they left and they go to another program because that program is more quote unquote prestigious, and you can recruit better. I.e., the gentleman that left Oklahoma went to USC and took his quarterback with him.
Yeah.
So this, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So to me, this is the same thing, but now it's just the players have the ability to do it. So you can't be mad when you sit up here and allow coaches to uproot themselves and go to another program constantly, year after year. We hear it every year since I don't know how long. And then, but when people hear that students do it, when they hit the portal and they talk about there's no loyalty, what do you expect the kid to be loyal?
So you know what, Philip? I was thinking about this during the commercial break, and one thing that I don't think it's like an incredibly out there thought, but I do wish all coaches' contracts and player contracts were binding. You would negotiate how long that was for. If you hire a coach in college athletics to be the coach for 5 years, you can't fire him and he can't leave for 5 years. This is a binding legal agreement between two parties, and you cannot break that contract.
Right.
And if a player signs, and if players, same thing, 1, 2, 3, or 4 years, you cannot break it. And you can decide what you want and make your own decision. And that's fine. And but I think if these things were binding, it would be a lot easier to be a fan.